I seen you around. Again, I was. You have a bandana, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually I do that, but lately I've been kind of like throwing the old hat on top.
Well, it's been a little chilly.
Yeah. That's okay.
But tell me about yourself. Where were you born and raised?
In Harlowton, Montana. And it's kind of a funny thing, like I was saying, because when I was born, it was like 2 people were born in the hospital that month at the same time. And I went to the other one's mother and father from the hospital instead of my own, and hit into my mother and father. And it was not a switch intentionally, it was by accident. And the doctor was also the city clerk and trying to hold 2 jobs and just couldn't do the jobs. It just kind of messed up. It was just kind of like, sometimes you can do some jobs and sometimes you can fill them, sometimes you try and fill them in a small town and you get what you can, and do what you can. But he just wasn't able to do those jobs. And when he made the record books, there was such a mess that it was easy to find out. But then the next time that I went in to try to get things corrected, they didn't want to open up the record books. So I'm kind of on my own, trying to find people, and things like that to talk to or understand, because nobody understands that when they close the books and stuff like that, you don't get to know or do anything about it, because it gets kind of deeper, because being this area was like where General Mills buys their wheat from, and the records were like trusted through the work, it got passed down to everybody else. So it's like my natural father's name was Gerald Henry Miller. The doctor city clerk was named Johnson. The other person that was born at the hospital was named Andy. So I got to thinking when I looked at the record books, John Fitzgerald Kennedy. Did Johnson fit Gerald with Andy? And the paperwork was passed down. Lyndon Baines Johnson. Who's paying? Baines meaning paying Johnson. And like Gerald Ford. Was this paperwork passed down through the years to everybody else? And I'm kind of thinking that was, because it's kind of just strange. We get told an awful lot of things, like we take it for granted that when we say bicentennial of America, we say 1976. But wasn't it really 1987 when the USA was the USA without redcoats? So shouldn't we have supported it would have been 1987? Like when the Statue of Liberty came over from France, we celebrated that in 1887, our centennial. The bicentennial should have been 1987, but we celebrated that in 1976. A lot of these things are being passed down, we don't fully get a hold of,
So I guess this oral history or this written history may not be accurate, is what I hear you saying.
My father's was the printer on the newspaper.
Let's talk about growing up. So you went with this family in this small town of, remind me again? Harlowton. And any other siblings in that family?
There were 4 others that I was sent to. My siblings are 2 sisters.
Well, let's see. How do we say this? So if you are saying you're switched at birth, do you call the family you grew up with your family?
Oh, my flesh and blood, my original flesh and blood. Because what I was like, when my mother wanted me to be born, she had a situation when she was younger, that her younger brother died, named James, at only 1 year old during the Great Depression. And it was because of the machinery that was being built around Billings, Montana oil refineries and the John Deere tractors and stuff, and that type of equipment and stuff. And my grandfather was a rancher, and when my uncle died with only 1 year old, my mother wanted a boy born for the blood, so she put a lot into me. So I go with that, and I pray to God. And the ones that I was sent to, they were atheists, and they were always doing all kinds of other problems. So I, was really glad that I wasn't one of them. I got in trouble and called like the guilty party of the whole thing, because like passing down the buck and scapegoat from the ones that I was sent to. So I was like glad to get out of there and all that type of stuff.
Well, growing up, were you farming and stuff like that?
My father was a rancher.
A rancher?
My grandfather was.
So you grew up around that, ranching, and learned how to do all that stuff?
My grandfather was a rancher. Well, I didn't, but my father was a printer, owned the newspaper.
Sorry, you said the printer.
So I'm like into a lot of newspaper.
So you're around that stuff?
Interests and you know, books, learning.
So you went to school
I went to a little in Helena, and a little bit in Billings, and a little bit in, that was about it. 10th grade I had a algebra 2, trigonometry, environmental science. I wasn't dumb or anything like that, but it's like, what can you do with the stuff, you know? Are we really going to use tangent and cosine in schools and stuff like that? And a lot of it's not. You know, basic ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, and willingness to do work and try, and a good attitude. And there's not like a job most people can't do or can't train to do. And what somebody likes to do and wants to do, that's what they should do.
Well, so around your teenage years, what were you doing?
I was like 16 traveling.
Oh, well, so you got out of there?
Yeah.
Were you hitchhiking or what?
Yeah, but I got like a cooking degree, partial auto mechanics degree.
Okay.
Computer degree. But then I just...
in college, or was this kind of like specialty schools?
Votex and stuff like that, yeah. But I got out of that in 20 years after the work. And I just started like, found that paperwork, and I've just been kind of like taking it all in and just kind of like wondering what I can do and what I can say, what I can help with, you know, and stuff like that. Taking it all in.
Yeah, you're
wondering what else went wrong, where else in the past, in history, where things like that haven't been true or right.
Yeah, so this is
really, a lot of that.
Again, what we're talking over there just really would mess with your mind.
It's a lot of stuff like that.
To take in a process.
It's like when you get one thing, and you take it for granted. If you do that, and then you find out later on it's not.
How do I believe anything?
It's hard to actually jump off to the other track.
Yeah.
And where do you go with that? And it's nice to know you have a good, firm, solid base in God. I've been in like troubled situations where like out in blizzards and stuff like that, and the only way I know I got out of there was praying to God. It's kind of like, it's nice to know He's there, and He's there all the time, and you can always turn to Him, and you can always ask Him. It might not actually be what you think you're going to get, but it still will be good. And I found it's not, you know, we wish we wanted this, we want this, we pray this, we do this. What we get, it'll still be good. But if you do that with Him and talk to Him, it comes through an awful lot easier and an awful lot better, and an awful lot more clear.
Where did you kind of pick up or learn that? Like, I guess you call it faith? I don't know.
Well, Helena, Montana is like a little, they're like really church oriented.
Okay.
Like after Thanksgiving, I was in like 5th grade, and my school teacher, her name was Miss Chapel. As soon as Thanksgiving was over with, we had to dress up in like choir gowns for like a Christmas pageant for PTA, right? So we had to learn "Oh Christmas Tree" for a Christmas tree PTA pageant by Christmas. 20 kids that half of them can't sing in 13 different languages. So I learned to pray through certain other channels. I went to like churches where they gave like free candy bars if you went in. I went for just a candy bar, but I learned a few things when I was there. Like I wasn't even supposed to be there, but so I never fit. I never fit with other kids one way or the other, but I wasn't against them, so I could still do things with them.
Yeah.
But I just kept on learning. I guess I was just made to.
Yeah.
And I just kept on.
Yeah.
And doing all right with that. And I picked up a few things from like church and from school, like praying. Yeah. And it just kind of like worked.
Still with you.
It worked.
Yeah.
I've been like in blizzards.
Yeah, tell me about that. You said that, a blizzard. What do you mean?
I went one time to see this girlfriend.
Okay.
It was like in November. and the weather was good.
This is in Montana?
Yeah. I was like from Billings, and this was in Conrad, Montana, near the Canadian border, about 60 miles. And there was like no snow until I got about like 30 miles from there.
And were you driving, or what are you
driving?
Driving.
I was in a little Chevy Malibu, 74. Lighter jacket on than you and I got, the lightest one. Tennis shoes, no blanket, nobody knew where it was at. Car radio, nobody actually contacted anybody because there was like no cell phones back then.
Yeah.
I got like, she lived out on these farms where there's like miles between the next road and the next farm. Now I forgot where she lived. And the road took a right-hand turn, and I went straight ahead 20 feet into a farmer's field. And I was stuck where the wheel was like covered with snow over the axle. The tire was covered in wet mud. And I'm trying to like rock the car out of there. I'm trying to go forward. I'm trying to go backward. Nothing worked. I saw a light about like, I'd say about a half mile away. I couldn't even tell if there was anything underneath there. So I got out of the car, which I probably shouldn't have done. Started walking. Got 20 feet from the car, and my toes were already getting numb. Not cold, numb. I went back to the car. The car door opened up, which I was greatly surprised of. I'm thankful. I closed the door, and I just sat there for a moment. Not looking outside, not looking inside, not looking around. And then I clasped my hands together like this, and I said, God, get me out of this. There won't be anything that I won't do for you. Just have me do whatever you want me to do. Now it's just as sullen and natural as I could possibly make my voice, this is all I got. I started the car, which was amazing in its first place, better than it ever had before. I put the car in reverse, lightly, barely put my foot on the gas pedal, and I pulled back out of there just as smooth as could be.
Wow.
And stuff like that I've seen.
Yeah.
He showed me an awful lot of things through time, because I know my mother prayed for me to be born when that happened to my uncle, and she wanted me to be born. So I guess it's kind of like inbred in somebody.
Yeah.
And it's some of these things you just can't lose. They stay with you.
Yeah.
We're born, into this world with nothing, and we leave with nothing. But what we do in between is God and your own self. And we all need to find that and get closer to that. And I guess I had a good head start.
Yeah, good.
And we get put to the test. I mean, what he does, he will make us work for. He will make that work. He will try and do what is called make all that he can from that happen. And he does. He's good.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious, so you've had a lot of jobs throughout your lifetime?
A lot of different work. A lot of places want to hire me. I can do the work. And a lot of places. Then I worked day labor. I worked for like 20 years off and on, mostly cooking in warehouses. And then I found out the paperwork wasn't in about like 2001. And since then I've been like doing like day labor places, different places. And a lot of places wanted to hire me and stuff.
You ever have any kids along the way? Anyway?
Not yet, but I'm still hoping.
Yeah, great.
Still haven't found the right one, but I will.
That's right, great.
I want to, because I want to carry the bloodline on.
Yeah.
And that type of stuff.
So
hoping.
You said that you come to Seattle for the winter.
I come for the winter because...
How long have you been doing that?
Off and on, I was here like 2013 when Seahawks won.
Okay, so since 2013 you've been coming for the winter.
Before that I was like sometimes in Florida picking oranges.
Okay, because lots of people leave during the winter in Seattle, but you come during the winter because Montana's so...
It's a lot better in the winter out here.
Gotcha.
Up north of San Francisco, St. Louis, Washington, D.C. If you come up north, Seattle's about the best place. Okay. You got a rainforest, you got Cascades, Olympics, Rainier.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place.
The sound, it's just like...
It's gorgeous, I agree.
It's great. Yeah. I don't know, I've never seen Yosemite. I've been through Death Valley.
Oh, yeah.
But I haven't seen Yosemite. I heard that's nice.
I've been to Yosemite, haven't been to Death Valley.
I've seen just about every animal there is in North America other than I've seen a beluga whale in Tacoma. I haven't seen them out in the wild. And I don't think I've seen a sailfish down in Florida, but I've seen everybody else. Yeah, I think I've seen key deer. I've seen grizzly bears across the street from me.
In Montana?
Yeah. Wolves across, closer than you and I are together. In Augusta, Montana, one was right there. Alligators swim right by me, 10 feet long alligators. I've seen white buffalo in Jamestown, North Dakota.
Oh, that's cool.
I've seen white eagle, and as a matter of fact, you can Google white eagle bird pictures in Oklahoma, and there's pictures of one in Oklahoma. I've seen one in Arizona area.
So you've been traveling a long time.
I traveled a lot. I went to like Arizona, Florida, out to Maine once. A lot of different places, Kansas.
And you're driving all these places?
No. Buses or hitchhiking.
Gotcha.
Catching rides.
It's a lot of adventure.
There's a lot. I wanted to travel around. I've taken in a few things, see what else I could find, things that I could learn, because I felt like things weren't like told to me right through certain channels, and what else might have been wrong. And there's a lot of that type of stuff. We get told some things and we take them for granted, and we find out they're not necessary or they're not true. And what can we do then when we find them, and we find out that happens when we put in some other time in other places, when we shouldn't lose what we actually put in, because we should just take it as like a learning curve, just kind of like put it down as best as we can, as fast as we can, so like we're supposed to, and continue learning. Doing what we need to. There's a lot of that. I've traveled a lot. A lot of nice people, a lot of people I learned from too, with work and stuff, and different situations and people, and the work that they were doing, and the situations that they got into because of workplaces, where they would pressure others into doing certain things. And they would manipulate them and twist them so that the work that they would be doing would be caused like they would be blamed for or would be subject to, so that the other ones could continue doing theirs.
You've seen that, a lot of that.
I've seen a few of that. Places. But where it's like they'll take advantage of you if you're alone and you don't know other people in certain places. If you're new in places, and they take advantage of it, like saying that you're the one who has to go like fetch this and do this, or the one left out, rather than things when you're just about, when it's no difference.
Than the other people.
I've seen them like manipulate people where they say because they're from an area, everybody does this, and nobody else gets to do anything that they can do and want to do, and you get subject to everything they have to do instead of anything that does work. I've seen a lot of that through the years. There's a lot of that. Like one thing I've always thought was like, I don't know if you remember when they said that they didn't want to take down Hell's Canyon dams because of the electricity. But what about putting fish ladders in to those dams, not worrying about the electricity, because we could always find more electricity. I mean, those buses on those electrical lines, they could make more electricity. They could like store it up, make the city street lights light up.
Maybe so,
And if we ever have a blackout, instead of the refrigerators and freezers thawing out, we would have problems with that. There'd be generators already going on to save that from happening. There's a lot of stuff. I don't like what they're trying to say with like the bolt and the volt. Why don't they put another battery in there? If the first one goes dry, it switches to the second one, which also engages recharging the first one.
You're talking about the electric car? You're thinking,
Because like a dam is nothing other than a turbine moving because of the water.
The water, right?
A windmill is nothing but the wind moving that around. There's wheels, they move around. Couldn't they regenerate electricity too?
Yeah.
But I don't think they want to do that, because you could go from like Key West all the way back before you'd even have to change a battery.
Yeah.
Like 4,000, 6,000 miles before you'd even have to like worry about that. So a lot of people want to drag their feet and say that's what the only thing that you can do, when there's always been availability to do that.
My guess is it has something to do with profits and money.
Harlowton used to have a train, Milwaukee Railroad, that was electric, and it boasted 70 miles per hour, and the prices were fair. But it folded in the mid-70s when they went diesel, right at the time that all the prices went up. Otherwise, we could be like doing like electric trains and cars a long time before now.
Yeah, if they started then.
But,
Well, so
yeah.
when I saw you over there, I asked if you were housed or unhoused. You said unhoused?
Unhoused.
How long have you been unhoused?
Well, it's just been like traveling for a long time.
So
I kind of started when I was 16 and got used to it. But then when I did the work, and then when I didn't do the work, I decided I could just stay outside in a lot of different places.
So you never had like a home base?
Not really.
Gotcha.
I've never really owned a house,
right,
or anything like that. I never really got into the buying and the mortgage and all that other stuff, and what actually goes into that. And I don't know how that would be. But I'm fairly good around chores and stuff like that and handiwork, and so I'd be all right.
Yeah.
But I've never had one of those, or know what it's like to need to have the roof over my head because the children are born and I got to have this.
Right.
So I got to do this work and I got to do this stuff. But I want to do it the best as possible, where I'm not having, anybody wants a nice bunny of a day when they're working, and you got the Friday off in the afternoon and you get to be back to the kids and you get to do this, and it's not raining. You don't have to have this problem, and this one's not saying this isn't done right, and this isn't done right, and you got to do it over and stuff, when there's a way to actually just get it right in the first place and stuff like that, as best as possible. And work to me is like second nature.
Yeah.
It's like I never want to do more than I have to do, but if it has to be done, I want it done, I want to do it, and I want to get it done right as best as possible, as soon as possible, and get it out of the way. And stuff like that. It's just like anybody else. If I don't need it, I don't want it.
Well, let's talk about like your current situation. So where are you sleeping, or did you have a spot?
These days I got like a small tent, and I try not to get mixed up with all the ones that like throw the trash and stuff like that and everything like that, because you get stereotyped in certain places, and you don't want that. I mean, you're just trying to be yourself, do the things you can do and know how to do, fit in without being left out or putting anybody out. And you want to do make the right choices where you need to and can. And it's just kind of like that, and it's kind of like rough in a lot of different places. Yeah. Like these days, it's like a lot of different hobo camps and garbage places that just they don't care. And it's passed down from places like the oil refineries in Billings, Montana. I mean, carp aren't a natural fish. They used to be trout before they were like changed into carp and stuff like that. In places like that, it gets passed down to other people. I don't like how it's like we learn one thing and that's all we can do, when that's not true. Life is we're learning, and there's plenty to learn, and never stop learning. And it's kind of like there's a way to be yourself, and you can do what you need to do, what God wants you to do, and moving at your own speed, doing the things you want to do, what you need to, and nobody will step on toes. Because with that guidance, it's just kind of like easy. But getting there where you know that, and you can position yourself, like schools don't teach you that. I mean, basic ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, willingness to try to do the jobs and work, there's not a job that actually won't put you up in at the bottom of the woodpile doing the work and what you need to. Like apprenticing, it's just kind of like what you want to do in some place. And it's just like, but people just kind of like, they take this job on, they got to do this, they got to do that, and it ain't anything they want to do. And what they need to do. But it's what they say is available, so that's what you got to take.
Yeah, there's definitely
because if you got to have like the roof overhead, if you got to have the car, if you got to have food on the table, it's kind of like,
there's
and
a
they pressure it like that to say that's what you got to do.
Exactly. There's a system and societal pressures that that people, there's a rhythm that you just automatically just, I guess this is it.
Yeah.
But I hear you saying like, nope.
It isn't. It isn't.
It isn't. Yeah.
But they try to pressure you. They try to put you into that position where they force you to like make these decisions for them and otherwise. It's kind of like, it's stuff like that.
Yeah, I hear you.
But schools kind of do that. They say you study for only these type of jobs, and then when you get out, it's like they're not there. Then you got to do some other training just to get to where the jobs you want to do, which you could have been doing when you're like 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. Some of that stuff in school, if you're a Boy Scout and Girl Scout in school, besides some of the history lessons, ABCs, reading and writing and arithmetic, would be an awful lot better teachings and a lot less boredom in schools. I always like that type of thing.
Yeah.
I'm like a free thinker, free will. I don't believe anybody should be forced into doing things or manipulated or stereotyped or told this is what you have to do and that's all you can do, rather than being your own self, an individual, by God, for God, like what we're supposed to be doing, an individual, somebody with this has our own rights, our own life, own part in life,
I feel like this may or may not be true, but society is breaking out of that.
There's a lot more changes.
I feel like there's a lot of change, and people are kind of grasping that. Like, wait a second, what am I working for this corporation for? What am I doing? Like, why am I not doing what I want to do?
We're seeing a lot more changes and a lot of things. I mean, we see Mount St. Helens, which totally bugged out every kind of thought we ever thought what a volcano was like. I always thought it was going to be like Hawaii because they grew out of the ocean and they were always spewing the smoke. This one was ice capped at the time that it blew. We're seeing all kinds of different things. We're seeing like before Evel Knievel jumped at Las Vegas, everybody wanted to see him jump. Then after he missed, everybody wanted to see him fail when he went to like Snake River Canyon. But we see things different. But we roll with the changes. We go with like, when Evel Knievel was jumping, we wanted to see him jump. Then when he didn't jump, we wanted to see him fail. But we changed. There's things like that we could be doing each day that are like rights and wrongs without, one shade of gray. We could be doing that, day in, day night.
Well, there's lots of different
and there's
scenarios.
A lot in the day we could be doing on that.
Aubrey, is there something that you would want to say to the people of Seattle?
Thank you for being in Seattle. Thank you for being there, Seattle. You got a nice area, and it's great to keep well and clean, to be able to move around, to be yourself, and do the things you want to do, and to like cherish that and honor that, because you make that Seattle, this area, like livable, tolerable. You help one another. You're there, but you got to make sure you're there for yourself, so that you can be there more with everybody else like that too. You got to do more for yourself. You got to say yourself, by God, you got to just hold that, keep that strong, then you're doing more. Everybody else will be there that's going to be like that too. But Seattle's a nice area, great area. You can move around there here like almost all year round sometimes. And like this year's is like great. Yeah. This is like a one-of-a-kind record. We're like, this is a good one. Yeah. This is a keeper, I mean. Yeah. Probably never see another one like this one, you know? This is like the one-of-a-kind.
Well, what's next after Seattle? Where are you heading off to?
I'm going back over to Montana for a little while, okay. May to June. Okay. I got some other paperwork I can do, some other work that I got to get done, some other things they've been doing like in Missoula that's kind of like what they had been here, like with the garbage that they did downtown a while back. They were doing some of that along the river. It's kind of strange because they built Silver's Lagoon. I'm not sure if you know about Missoula, Montana. They built a baseball field, and they named them Missoula Osprey, and they were named after a silver miner named Smith, or Silver, and it's like a silver theme. Silver Slipper, Silver's Lagoon. So when they followed, they said that they were going to clean out all the garbage of this mining lumber mill that was underneath when they built the stadium.
Field, right.
But they didn't. And then when they did that, when they built the stadium, they were also going to build condominium apartments for everybody else because of their new type theme. And they didn't clean underneath them. And now they got places there where the pipes are running off into the water into the Clark's Fork. So now the water's dirty. Yeah. So instead of naming their town Missoula Osprey Baseball, they're named Missoula Paddleheads because they always float the Clark's Fork of the river in like boats and paddles and inner tubes and stuff like that. But the water's not any good now, right? Because it's getting leaked into because of what they did. And now they like tried to change over to a modern Missoula their way instead of what Missoula was their way. And it's so there's like more work to be done.
Messy. Sounds messy. Yeah.
They tried to change it over, and it's not done as well as in certain other things.
So you're going to go back over there and help out? And
I gotta see if I can get anybody in more interested.
Right,
so
right
like this is like hopefully going to help a lot. Yeah. That is.
I definitely I get like you were saying earlier. There's a lot of stereotypes.
It's hard to get to tell people all this type of stuff and where they would listen and they would want to and where they can get out to other things and that they could do anything with it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of strange because nobody wants to listen when they're already into the stuff that they've already been into, and it's the stuff that you'd be the ones that would be against by saying change because they are already in the things that they already did and they wouldn't change over or learn or do anything.
Well,
and they'd be caught not knowing how, and they'd be not doing what they want.
I have hope that people can change. I mean, we've all changed. We're constantly changing. You know, Aubrey, you're not the same person you were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 1 year ago. It's like we're always changing. So I have hope that people could see this and say, oh, not every person who's unhoused or homeless is what I thought they were. And so that's my hope with this Seattle story.
I hope he's like keeping everybody like doing what they want to do, what he wants, and by him doing what he wants to do. And then we're all getting better, getting stronger, getting smarter, healthier, wiser, and we're learning from the past in different ways than what we thought.
I hope so.
And then we pray to God we'll get what He wants us to. It'll never be it'll never be what we think, but it'll be good.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Aubrey, thanks for your time, man.
Thank you.
It's good to meet you. It's good to meet you, man. I'll see you around, I'm sure.
A pleasure.
I'm gonna take a couple photographs. Let me grab that mic.